it was a tough, because I'm just my eyes anyway, the way I work. I'm a creative writer, not a technical writer. But I get so frustrated when the instructions don't include all the steps. So,
Mm,
so to your point about the community group, for a nonfiction writer, I would say give your manuscript to somebody who has never done this before and see if they can follow the process and get to the end without being confused.
oh,
Because
that's good.
because
Yeah.
inevitably most people who write technical instructions or do a YouTube video or almost anything, they've done it so many times they skip over a step because they already know it. So the correlation is in fiction writing, we know our characters, we know what they're thinking, and we don't include it in the text. And so our fiction peer reviewers, they go, I got lost. I didn't know who was talking. I couldn't figure out who was who. That's what happened on the fiction side. On the nonfiction side,
Yeah,
people are confused and can't follow the instructions. They get lost.
exactly. That's very good way to put it. And you always, again, this is my mantra, and I almost said beat it into their heads, but of course that's metaphorically, but uh, it's always about your reader, always about your reader, always about your reader.
Yeah.
So especially in like you just expressed so well, in fiction you don't want to lose them, but in nonfiction you don't want to miss anything or cause confusion. So clarity is really important too. And a good editor can catch some of this stuff, but it still is helpful to get the feedback before you even get into the editing process, for sure.
Yeah.
So once you have a detailed outline, you've asked for somebody's advice and you put in that extra element that was missing, how are you going then to bring your topic to a conclusion? A good conclusion is really important. So it's, Eddie, we talk about that old journalism rule. Were you taught this in school where first you tell them what you're going to tell them, then
Yeah.
you tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them? And so it's a good way to start and finish a book, an article, um, a YouTube video. It's just a good thing to keep in mind. But a good conclusion is so important. And especially in fiction, I have read too many good stories that then all of a sudden it just said, and they rode off into the sunset happily ever after. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What about blah, blah, blah? They just tie it up real quick and it's done. And I think a lot of times that's word count. They want to cut off the word count. The publisher said, well, okay, we got to cut off the word count. But to leave a satisfactory ending for your reader is vitally important in fiction and nonfiction. So just kind of help them recap. All right, we've done this, and this is what you've learned. Now, here's how you apply it to your everyday life. And they might give an example, which in fiction you would see the characters, what they've learned, and how they're looking at life differently now after having suffered through their hero journey. And now here they are, wiser, stronger, and just a better human being, right? In your fiction.
Yeah.
So you want to also conclude with a similar ending. Endings are important as well.